anima mea Dominum.
Et exulta et spiritus meus in Deo salutarim meo,
Quia respexit humilitatem mansile sue, ex enim ex hoc beata medicent omnes generationes.
quia fecit me magna qui
My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior.
Et misericordia eius a progenie in progenies, dimentibus eum.
fecit potentiam in brachio suum, dispersit superbos mente cordis sui,
Deposuit potentes tessere, et exaltavit humile.
Surientes simple dit bonis, et divit est misit in annes.
Suscepit Israel puerum suum, recordatos misericordiae suae.
Sicut locutus est ad Patris nostros, Abraham et sequieris in saecula.
And we are live, and I am joined by my friend and the extraordinary John Colorati. Brother, how you been, my friend? You able to hear me?
I can hear you fine, Brother William. I'm
Good.
happy to be with you.
Man, I'm thrilled and I'm pumped to be with you, man. It's been a long, long, long time coming. And man, I know the audience is going to be excited for this show. People have been thrilled and pumped to talk about the papacy in general lately. And today we're going to have a tremendous time. But before we even dive in, my man, brother, how have you been? How have you been, my friend?
Well, I'm doing fine. I like to do, I do apologetics. And so basically, this is a topic that nobody else is going to give you. So I want to cover this topic that we're doing today because nobody is going to give you this type of information. I mean, literally nobody.
And could you before we even go into it, can you maybe briefly tell us why is nobody focusing on this? Is it because it's so obscure? Because the information is so difficult to get your hands on? Why would that be?
That's basically correct. In other words, the sources are extremely obscure.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate because I was able to read sources that are in Latin. I was able to read books by Chaldean priests that were in Latin. And because they were writing in Latin, a universal language for scholars, I was able to understand what they were saying and proceed with the research.
Amazing.
And that was true with much of the material. And then, I have some other languages that I can use, but it's ironic that we're going to be talking about some part of Chaldean tradition, and yet I had to access it by using my Latin.
Wow.
So there are not too many people that are going to be doing that. So that would be the answer to your question, to be honest.
I love that. And I do want to also be respectful of your time. How much time, more or less, do you have? As long as you have, you let me know, my friend.
I'll try to give you an hour.
Let's do it.
And maybe a bit more.
Okay. As soon as you tell me, William, let's begin wrapping it up. We will do so. So let's. I want to an audience just so people can know. John is a very gracious person with his time, and the donations for today's show, all your support are going to be going to a charity that he has chosen. And if he decides to reveal that, fine. If not, we'll keep that the way it is right now. But either which way, we want to thank you all for your support. And we'll call out your questions, your comments. We will do so every now and then. Ari, of course, ribbing me and Bronca by saying, Assalamu alaikum, Habibi. Congrats to Egypt, who whooped Australia today. In your face, Bronca. It must suck to have losing teams. All right, Germany and Australia. John, do you watch soccer at all?
You know, I'm gonna watch if America gets like into, you know, the final 8 or something like that.
Oh, okay. So you will, if they win, if they defeat Belgium, then you'll start watching then.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Okay. Awesome, man. All righty. Well, I don't know if you're able to answer this one. Are you aware, are there a lot of untranslated Syriac manuscripts out there?
I would say there are, yeah. There's a lot. Okay, so there is a book by a bishop by the name Cyril Ben-Ambeni called, and I'll have to get the exact title here.
Sure.
Which is, I'm going to have to go to my bibliography here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Take your time, man. You're a machine, man. All this information you got, man.
Oh boy. Okay, what is the title? Well, something like the tradition of the Syriac Church of Antioch. I'll get the title as we go. This is a little bit off the subject, but I will.
Sure, no worries. We'll return to that. We'll definitely return to that later on. Then, now I hope that the images that I've made are accurate. I made them last moment there, but I'll keep them up so that people can have something to look at there. Well, maybe you can talk about it. What are these 73 Syriac canons? What exactly are they?
Yeah. Okay. So the book the first question was about Cyril Ben-Ambeni. So yes, there's a book called the tradition of the Syriac Church of Antioch concerning the primacy and the prerogatives of Saint Peter and of his successors, the Roman pontiffs. Now, I must caution you, the book is out of date, and some of these works, with some of the manuscripts of the works, will have the wrong attribution of certain works and things like that, or attribution to multiple authors. So you have to use a lot of caution in consulting a work like that, but you'll find a lot of information you're not going to get anywhere else, right, just as you will on this program. And I have tried to improve on Bishop Benny because I've used more modern sources, and I'm not trying to rely on outdated manuscript numbers, or the manuscript numbers have been changed at the Vatican Library or something like that. So I'll try to give you modern sources when I can. Okay, so I'd like to get on the question of the Syriac canons.
Let's do it.
So we'll get on the Syriac canons. So you had a program today.
Yeah,
you had a program about the Church of the East.
Yeah, I did.
We'll call it the East Syrian or Syriac Church, the Church of the East. The center used to be at Seleucia Ctesiphon. Now, we're not supposed to call it the Nestorian Church. I kind of do sometimes. It's kind of considered naughty. You're not supposed to do that. I still do.
They don't like that. They don't like that, man.
It's like you're not supposed to say Monophysite, but sometimes I still do.
Oh, man, yeah, they don't like that at all either. I'll tell you that right now.
I know. So maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't know. But anyway, we'll say the East Syrian or Syriac Church, the Church of the East. So you had a program, and what if I told you that the Church of the East has canonists who wrote nomocanons or collections of law, and they include canons that support the authority of the Bishop of Rome, the Pope?
Wow.
This is not pie in the sky or anything. This is completely true, and I'm going to demonstrate this in detail.
Sure.
Okay, so in 1982, a Syriac scholar by the name Arthur Vubus published, I think for the first time in English, a collection of 73 canons in Syriac, which had been used in the Syriac Church, the East Syrian Church, for centuries.
Sure.
And two of those canons support the authority of the Bishop of Rome.
Oh, wow.
All right. So 1982 is the first time I know of that they were fully published into English, not excerpts.
Yeah.
All right. Before that, they were published in 1896 by a scholar by the name of Oscar Brown, but into German. Now, before that, in the 17th century, there was a similar collection in Arabic, but not Syriac, but a similar collection in Arabic that went by the name Arabic Canons of Nicaea. But for the time being, I'm talking about Syriac canons. Okay, because the Arabic is most likely a recension or a later recension of these Syriac canons. That's my opinion. And we can get into that, but first we'll get into the Syriac first. So for the first time, we have in English a complete translation of Syriac canons, and two of them support the authority of the Pope. So in the Syriac manuscripts, and we're going to read off what the canons say.
Sure.
And those are known as Canon 2 and Canon 8.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like I've read your book well then, because I was able to make these slides. Okay. Now, and if I'm correct, Canon 8, okay, is it Canon 9 in some manuscripts then, or did I get that wrong?
And you're correct. In some manuscripts, it'll be Canon 9, but generally speaking, it's going to be Canon 2 or Canons 2 and 8, or sometimes 9.
Okay, then I did read properly. Then I know how to read a little bit. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read Canon. I'm going to get the text of the canons. Okay. So these are from by the way, the Vubus book is the canons ascribed to Marutus of Maiperkat, and it's in the very famous collection known as the CSCO, the Corpus Scriptorum Christianorum Orientalium.
Yeah, right.
And it's volume 440, 192 in the Syriac series, the Syriac part. So this is from 1982. So the Arthur Vubus translation, Canon 2. And these are presented as being canons of Nicaea.
Right, yeah.
Now, the scholars consider them pseudo-Nicene. All right? But in the East Syrian Church, they're ascribed to a saint known as Saint Maruthus, who was a saint in the Persian church in the early 5th century. So according to Chaldean tradition, they were brought into the Syriac church or the Persian church by Saint Maruthus in a council of Seleucia in the year 410. Now, I'm not here to verify that. I'm just saying this is what the Chaldean tradition says. This is what the sources are going to tell you. That's the claim that's being made. And by the way, the West never heard of these canons for the first millennium for the most part.
Okay.
These were unknown to the Latin Church.
Wow.
So, if you think this must be some kind of papal forgery or something like that, no, it's not possible. These were strictly within... Yeah, the West never heard of them for a long time. It was not till well into the second millennium that the West knew anything about these canons. So I'm going to read what the canons say. First, Canon 2. It is the will of the General Synod that there shall be only 4 patriarchs in the entire world, in like manner as the 4 evangelists and the 4 rivers of paradise and the 4 parts of the world. As also the sages of the world say that the 4 elements are the progenitors of the world. The head shall be that one who is at Rome, according to the command of the apostles who determined it in their canons. So that's Canon 2. And you notice that it's talking about 4 patriarchs.
Right, correct.
That's East Syrian language. That's the language you would find in the East Syrian church. The Greeks talk about 5 patriarchs, a pentarchy.
Sure, that's correct.
I think we all know that. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's some internal evidence that this is really coming from the Syriac church. And it speaks the language of the Syriac church.
That's pretty enormous then.
Yeah. Okay, so Canon 9 or Canon 8 in some manuscripts. About this, that the patriarch has authority over every matter. It is the will of the General Synod that regarding all matters which do not take place aright, whether under the hand of another bishop, the patriarch shall have the authority to command in term and authoritatively. For the patriarch is the father of the community of prelates, and all the bishops are sons of his heritage. The honor of a metropolitan is as that of an older brother who orders matters among his brothers. But the honor of the patriarch is like that of the father who has authority over his sons. And just as it is lawful for the patriarch to do everything that he wills rightly in all matters of these provinces subjected to his authority, just so shall be the authority of that prelate of Rome over the patriarchs, as the blessed Peter is above the whole community of prelates. For he also holds the place of Peter in the entire church, that which is in Rome. The General Synod puts him who transgresses these canons under an anathema. So that's Canon 8 or 9.
That's pretty powerful.
Well, I mean, it's affirming the authority of the Bishop of Rome over the patriarchs, who are themselves heads of all the other churches.
Right, yeah.
So the patriarchs are the heads of the churches, the heads of the universal church, but the Pope is over the patriarchs.
Right, right. So it says, just to be clear for the audience, and want to give you all a shout out to Brother Bronca. Thank you for the support. He says, I'll be honest, this is way above my pay grade, but I love to learn. Driving an hour, so this is great. And brother, I can tell you, you're going to learn a lot, even if you think, well, this is way above anything I've ever learned. Now is the time to learn how important this is. You're going to love it, Brother Bronca, and everyone else. Let me just double check that I've got it correct. I'm on the right page with you, Brother John. So you've got Canon 9 of these 73 Syriac canons. It lays out a hierarchy. It says bishops, metropolitans, patriarchs, they all possess authority, but very clearly the authority, so then they possess authority, then it then gets to Rome, and Rome governs the patriarchs, and the authority of Rome is grounded in St. Peter. Is that correct?
That's correct. In other words, just as the patriarch has authority over the bishops, who have authority over the people, the Bishop of Rome has authority over the patriarchs. Wow. Because he holds the place of St. Peter.
Yeah.
This is what Dostoevsky would have called the purest ultramontanism.
There you go. Right. I mean, we clearly see Rome is the head. Rome possesses authority over all the patriarchs because he succeeds Peter. And very clearly, this is not merely a political ploy or anything along those lines. This is because he is the successor, and because this is divinely instituted by our Lord. I mean, that's Catholicism very early on, isn't it?
Correct. It's an authority of divine right. It's talking about an authority instituted by Christ.
Right, right.
Now, like I said, those are two canons that are ascribed either to the Council of Nicaea, and the scholars don't believe they're of Nicaea. The scholars consider them pseudo-Nicene. But in the East Syrian Church, they're believed to have been brought into the East by Saint Maruthus in the 5th century and delivered to a council at Seleucia Ctesiphon in 410. All right, and Vobus in some of his introductory material, talks about these different traditions and so on and so forth. And so his book is particularly valuable. But I have a lot more than Vubis. There's a lot more than what Vubis has in his entire book. So the thing that needs to be understood first is that these canons are part of the works of East Syrian canonists who wrote what are known as nomocanons. And I'm going to cite some of those in a moment. I have to go flipping through my own book here to find my.
No, there's no worry. Take your time. There's no worry at all. While you do that, I'll give a shout out to the brother AB. AB, thank you for your support, my friend. Thank you for supporting. He says, God bless, brethren. And the brother Bronca, who is driving for an hour, is going to enjoy and love this show, says, Will, Ari is a bully, but at least you will enjoy the taste of cherries soon. Indeed, brother Bronca. God bless you, my friend. And all of you all are going to love this show. This is information nowhere else. This information is not out there. The brother John is tremendous, and he wants you to have this information to be able to defend your tremendous Catholic faith, because he knows the faith is under attack like never before today.
Right. Okay, so I've got some more information on the canonists.
Sure.
So, all right. So the first one I want to talk about, I guess we'll go backwards in time. I'll start with the latest one. The latest one is a very famous one who goes by the name Abad Isho Barbarica. And the Westerners, they have to Latinize these names, of course, so they sometimes call him Ebed Yezu. But his actual name is Abad Isho Barbarica, sometimes called Ebed Yezu. He's the bishop of Nisibis, which they later called Sobi. So it's Ebed Yezu of Sobi, Abad Isho Barbarica, Abad Isho, Bishop of Sobi, or Bishop of Nisibis. It all amounts to the same person.
Okay.
He's holding the ancient see of Nisibis. They call it Sobi.
Sure.
In the later books. Okay. So Abad Isho wrote a major nomocanon for the East Syrian Church, which is the Church of the East, we'll say. Okay, so this tract is in Syriac, and it was translated into Latin by somebody named Aloysius Assimani, who was related to the more famous Joseph Simon Assimani.
Sure.
Who was the biggest Syriac scholar of the 18th century. All right. The text with the Syriac and a Latin translation were published by Angelo Cardinal Mai in the series called Scriptorum Veterum Nova Collectio. So at Rome, 1838, volume 10.
Okay.
So I quote that in my book. I use the Latin translation.
Gotcha.
Volume 10, page 154.
And if you don't mind me just briefly asking, just for clarification purposes, I am assuming you don't believe these originally come from Nicaea either, I imagine.
My assumption is that they are not.
Gotcha.
Nicaea.
Okay. I mean, either which way, that doesn't matter. They still hold a very important place either which way, because, as you know, to hammer home your particular point, they come from the Syriac East, and they were virtually unknown to the medieval Latin theologians, so they circulated in early Syriac, and there were later, according to your tremendous book, which, by the way, later on we'll announce the name of that book, or whenever you want, you can announce it. I know you want everybody to be able to read that book and get their hands on it. They're later incorporated, as you point out, into Arabic, Coptic, Ethiopian, Jacobite, and East Syriac canonical tradition. So you can't dismiss them as late medieval inventions, and that's pretty powerful, I'd say.
That you're right. All right. So okay. So I'm going to give you what I say Abad Isho, or the Latins call him Ebed Yezu. So
Sure.
Here's the bishop of basically ancient Nisibis in around 1300. So his nomocanon was written early 1300s. So here's what he has. It has been agreeable to the ecumenical synod that there be 4 fathers in the whole world, like the 4 evangelists and the 4 rivers, and also the 4 corners of the world, as the wise men of the world themselves also say, that there are 4 elements of which the world is composed. Now let their head be that of Rome, according to the precept of the apostles which they laid down in their canons. Whoever transgresses these precepts, the ecumenical synod subjects him to anathema. So that's Abadisha around 1300.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh.
Anathema.
The other canon. He has the other canon. The other one. So he's got the equivalent of canons 2 and 8, both of them in his normal canon, written around 1318, 1320, thereabouts. Here's the other canon. It has been agreeable to the ecumenical synod that the patriarch have authority to examine whatever is done unfittingly by the judgment of the metropolitans or bishops. For the patriarch is the father of all, and all the metropolitans and bishops are sons of his inheritance. Now, the honor of the patriarch rules as that of a father over his sons. And as the patriarch has authority to do whatever he likes that is fitting regarding those who are subject to his authority, in like manner, let the patriarch of Rome have authority over all the patriarchs, as blessed Peter had it over all the community. Since the patriarch of Rome also holds the place of Peter in the universal church. Whoever transgressed this, the ecumenical synod subjects him to anathema.
Now, just to confirm, by the way, God bless you, Brother Lino Molina. I think maybe he didn't hear earlier. Just to confirm, the Brother Lino Molina is asking, what time period are these documents from? And I believe that you said earlier, the historical setting, according to your book as well, is about AD 410. Wouldn't that be correct? Because you said most likely you associated the collection with Saint Maruthas, and you mentioned a synod of Seleucia in about AD 410. Would that be correct?
That is the correct, that's what Chaldean tradition says. That's what Chaldean authors say. Gotcha. And there's strong, right. So I'm also establishing the timeline by giving you these documents.
Yes, tremendous.
So first I'm giving Abadisho in 1300.
Right.
So I'm giving Abadisho, and then I'm going to go earlier. We're going to trace it back a little bit earlier.
Wow.
Okay. So that's Abadisho, and again, that's out of, for those who read Latin, that's from Cardinal Mai's Scriptorum Veterum Nova Collectio, Volume 10. You read it in Syriac if you understand Syriac. There's a Latin translation if you understand Latin by Assamani.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's another canonist in the East Syrian Church who includes these canons in his Book of Laws, Normal Canon, or Book of the Laws. And this is a bishop of Damascus. Name was Elias of Damascus. Mm-hmm. Elias writing about 890 for the Syriac Church. And I'm going to give you the Nomocanon of Elias of Damascus, as far as I know, is unpublished.
Wow.
But it exists in manuscript form.
Wow.
On one of the Vatican Arabic manuscripts.
My goodness, that's tremendous.
And my co-author, Scott Butler, had it translated by a Syriac scholar by the name William Macomber.
Okay.
And he translated from the Arabic manuscript. So this is the Vatican Arabic Codex 157, folio 32 verso and folio 34, done by Professor Macomber years ago. Okay, now, Elias of Damascus, again, this is a bishop in the Church of the East.
Yeah.
Okay, he's giving, okay, These are the ordinances which the leaders and those in charge hold fast in brief, both the Easterners and Westerners. They are 74 in number, slight difference from the 73, but it's the same collection. You number them differently, you get 74. The second ordinance, they commanded and said that the patriarchs in the whole world should be 4 only, just like the 4 writers of the gospel and its 4 basic elements, and that the Lord of Rome should be the head according to what the apostles commanded. Again, same thing you found in Vubis, same thing that you had in Abadishu.
Yeah.
The 8th ordinance, and they commanded that the patriarch look into any affair of which any of the metropolitans is aware in their territories that they govern. And if he finds any of them contrary to what is needful and proper, then let him change it and give command concerning it, whatever is requisite, because he is the father of them all, and they are his sons. Whereas the metropolitan, in his headship over them and their respect for him, is in the position of the elder brother, to whom his brethren offer respect and no obedience on account of his age and dignity. As for the patriarch, he is in the position of the father in his authority over his household. And just as the patriarch has authority over what is under his control, so likewise let the Lord of Rome have authority over the rest of the patriarchs like Peter, inasmuch as he had a share of authority over all the leaders of Christianity in the community of its people, because he was the successor of Christ over the entire church.
Wow.
And whoever transgressed this usage, the synod excommunicates him.
That's pretty powerful language, I gotta say, Brother John. You know, that's pretty powerful language there.
Right. And so that's, again, Vatican Arabic Codex 157, folio 32 verso, folio 34, still unpublished.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in the notes that I wrote down, but yeah, you're doing a great job there, chronologically going through this.
Now, what's interesting is that there's a passage from this Nomocanon, which was brought from the East and given to Pope Innocent XIII. And this is a little excerpt translated by Joseph Simon Assamani in a famous work called the Bibliotheca Orientalis Clementino Vaticana, volume 3, page 367. Now, it's just an excerpt. Again, we don't have the published Nomocanon of Elias. We have these excerpts. But this is what Assamani translated as an excerpt. The author of the collections of canons of the Westerners, which is in the hands of Easterners, is Maruthus, Bishop of Amida and Mayafarkin, who translated from Greek into Syriac the canons of the 318 Fathers of Nicaea, when he brought letters from the Roman Emperor to Yezdegerd, the Persian king. Isaac performed the functions of the Catholicos at that time, meaning the Bishop of Seleucia. So the Bishop of Seleucia was named Isaac. By a common accord, these two prelates asked the king for permission to convoke a synod of the Eastern bishops at Modain, that is Seleucia Ctesiphon, to discuss and receive these canons. With the king's permission, 40 bishops and metropolitans met with Isaac and Maruthus in the 11th year of Yezdegerd's reign. After Maruthus had read those canons and the creed of the Council of Nicaea to the assembly, all the fathers adhered to it and anathematized those who would contradict it. The canons and creed were written down in a volume which each of the metropolitans and bishops, according to his rank, signed with his own hand and sealed with his seal. Assamani, Bibliotheca Orientalis, volume 3, page 367. So that's everything, okay? The canons are there. You have the assertion that they were brought into the East by St. Maruthus in 410 before a council at Seleucia.
Mhm.
also in 410. They were read out and solemnly approved. And this is a solemn declaration in a nomocanon from an East Syrian bishop,
Yeah.
which in a church which has been separated from Rome by that time for 400 years. The East Syrian church left communion with Rome around the 480s.
Yeah, that's pretty significant there. Yeah, that's a really significant point there.
Yeah. So, you know, if you want to, for those who don't want to go the papal forgery route and try to, you know, make a claim about that, the question then would be, why would someone in the Nestorian church make up this kind of a papal forgery at a time when nobody in the West heard of these canons?
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. So it's a very clear point that you're making in terms of the East Syriac. Ari is asking, and Ari's question I think is tremendous. Now, maybe you would not think it poses any issue, but Ari is asking, after translating, Ari, by the way, God bless you. Thank you for your support. She says, do you think this poses a serious challenge to the modern Oriental Orthodox view of the papacy? And if it does,
Okay.
which canon would be the hardest to account for and why?
Okay, well, actually, that's a very interesting question.
It is. It is. Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, I agree.
And they can't evade it by saying, well, that's just the East Syrian church. That's their problem. We don't believe any of that. They can't say it because, and that be another part of the presentation, is that these canons are accepted in some of the, not going to say Monophysite, the Miaphysite churches.
Right.
That identify now as Oriental Orthodox.
Sure.
I kid you not, it is a fact that they are accepted in some of the books of canons of these Miaphysite, or what are called Oriental Orthodox. So yes, it's a serious challenge.
Yeah, and I don't think they're aware of that. I'm not sure they really know how a lot of them at least don't know how canons work, which is lamentable. But that's enormous. If they're accepting the canons, that's pretty powerful. That's pretty enormous evidence there in and of itself.
Okay. Now I'm going to list one more East Syrian canonist who goes by the name Ibn at-Tayyib. He wrote around 1043. Vatican Arabic Codex 153 contains a nomocanon of the East Syrian priest Ibn at-Tayyib. Includes the Syriac canons ascribed to St. Maruthas, and they're translated into Arabic. That's Cardinal Mai's comment, Scriptorum Veterum Nova Collectio, Volume 4, pages 286 and 291. Anybody wants to read Latin and look into that, they can do that. And Ibn at-Tayyib even says this. And he attributes, Ibn at-Tayyib attributes this saying to Timothy I, the Catholicos of the East, of the Church of the East, from 778 to 820. So Ibn at-Tayyib wrote this: as there is a reason for the authority of each patriarch over his metropolitans and so on, the same reason exists for the authority of the Roman patriarch over all patriarchs. That's CSCO 168, Arabic Series 19, 140. So, you have another canonist, Ibn at-Tayyib, also affirming that as the patriarchs have authority over the churches, and by a similar reasoning, the Bishop of Rome has authority over the patriarchs. And he's not even in communion with Rome.
Wow.
Which is mind-blowing, but yet these are facts. They're facts that he wrote these things. We have, so, all right. So all of that, that's all fact so far. And let's see. I'm gonna try to find one more reference here.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. While you do that, I will read out a few comments. Brother Bronca, in reference to my terrible cat, says Purgatory Cat. Bronca, she is behaving right now. She's taking a cat nap. Usually when the sun is finally going down and settling, she takes her little nap. So thank the good Lord she's not being horrible. And the brother, Gary 2.0. Gary, thank you for the link to the Vatican online digital library. Unfortunately, not every single document that is valuable and that we wish would be translated is on the Vatican digital library. How that would be tremendous if that were true.
Okay. Okay, brother.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. There's no question that the Syriac Church had a collection of canons, Syriac canons, that exceeded the number of 20 canons of Nicaea. So this is a fact. So the Patriarch Timothy, or Catholicos Timothy I, from 778 to 820, in his letter 36, quotes from Canon 63 of Nicaea.
Wow.
All right, that's from the collection of the letters of Timothy I, also in the CSCO 75, Syriac Series 31, page 183. So Canon 63 of Nicaea, if you're talking about, if you're quoting from, you think there's Canon 63 of Nicaea, it's likely referring to the 73 canon collection.
Whoa, that's pretty tremendous.
I mean, I verified that he's quoting what he thinks is Canon 63 of Nicaea. I didn't go back and look at the actual text of Canon. I didn't go back and look at a Canon 63. That's a different subject for a different day. But there's definitely a belief in a larger collection of canons than 20 from Nicaea. No, there's no question about that. Okay, so we've established all of that. All right, so that's what we need to establish from the East Syrian Church. Now, the other thing to establish is these canons migrate, this is my opinion here, but the documentation is clear that they exist in the East Syrian Church first.
Sure.
That's where we first can document them. And then we find them apparently migrating or slipping into the collections of other churches in the Near East.
Wow.
And these include some of those known as Oriental Orthodox.
Whoa, there it is, Ari. Wow, really?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, I've got actually quite a few here. I think you're going to be shocked.
I mean, I'm already shocked, and I think the audience are probably already stunned at this. That's enormous.
Yeah. So the first canonist of one of these, what were known as Oriental Orthodox that use one of these papal canons goes by the name Bar Hebraeus.
Bar Hebraeus, right? Yep.
All right, the year 1286. Now, that's not his real name, of course. I think his actual name is something like Gregory Abul Farag or something like that. But everybody kind of calls him, Latins kind of call him Bar Hebraeus. We got to Latinize the name.
Sure, right.
He was of Jewish origin, I think, and they call him Bar Hebraeus. Okay, so Bar Hebraeus has his own nomocanon for the West Syrians, meaning we used to call them the Jacobites. Today they'd be called Syrian Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox.
Right.
You know that. Okay, so here's so he's, we used to say Jacobite, now we're more polite, and we say, some say Oriental Orthodox. All right. Well, we know what we're talking about here.
Sure.
Okay, so Bar Hebraeus writes this. And because the patriarchal dignity and prerogative accrued to these cities not only because of their power and antiquity, but also because of the, this is from Ebed Yezu still. This is from Abed Ishu. He's still Chaldean, so he's East Syrian. I may as well give this quote from Abed Ishu first. Okay, so Because the patriarchal dignity and prerogative accrued to these cities not only because of their power and antiquity, but also because of the apostle who taught in it, the patriarchal dignity has been given to the mighty Rome because of the two pillars that were placed there. I mean, Peter, Prince of the Apostles, and Paul, Doctor of the Gentiles. And there also is the first see and the head of the patriarchs. Right, so that's Abad Ishu. And that's in the version of Cardinal Mai, Scriptorum Veterum Nova Collectio, Volume 10, pages 154 to 155. Incredible. Man, not in communion with Rome.
Wow.
And there's nothing about this stuff about, well, Rome was the royal city, the emperor was there, you know, the secular importance of Rome, none of this Canon 3, Canon 28 stuff.
No, it's all divinely from Christ. It's all from Christ.
Right. He's talking about the passing on of apostolic authority.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Right. Okay. So now we go to another writer. This time he's from what we call the Oriental Orthodox, the Jacobites, the Syrian Orthodox, as they say. This is Bar Hebraeus. Bar Hebraeus has one of the papal canons in chapter 7 of his own Nomocanon on priestly orders. There's a Latin translation of the Nomocanon, also by Aloysius Assamani, in Cardinal Mai, Scriptorum Veterum Nova Collectio, Volume 10, Part 2. So this is going to be from page 39 of that, Volume 10, Part 2.
Right.
Bar Hebraeus. Let the patriarch look into the business, which, and of his archbishops or bishops does, in the areas subject to their jurisdiction. Let him look into the business which his archbishops or bishops do in the areas subject to their jurisdiction. If, therefore, he finds there anything that is not lawful, let him change it and command him as he sees fit, for he is the father of them all, and they are his children. And let the archbishop be over them in authority, and the honor due him as an elder brother, whom his brethren extol above all themselves, and obedience is due him because of the beauty of his rule and its greatness. Wow. However, let the patriarch have his government over all that is under his hand. And thus let the one governing the See of Rome have dominion over all the patriarchs, as Peter, in all the authority which he had over all Christian heads. Wow. And all the congregations of those close to them, for he is the successor of Christ over the church and its temples and all its peoples. And if anybody transgresses this law, the council anathematizes him.
Man, that's pretty powerful.
Bar Hebraeus, Syriac, West Syriac, Nomocanon, 1286.
Wow. He literally says, let the great head of all be that of Rome.
Yeah. Okay, so does this pose a challenge for those identifying as Oriental Orthodox? I would say it does. Most of them have never heard of these texts.
Right.
Other than maybe like the really nerdy ones who go into all the details of canon law. But most have never heard of these texts.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've never run into any, I mean, thus far, I've never run into anyone that really dives deep into canon law or you know, would really even know where to look, to be honest.
Right. Okay. And there's more.
Wow.
Wait, there's more.
Man.
Okay, there's more. Okay. So it's not just Bar Hebraeus. The canons appeared in Coptic collections, meaning the Coptic Church, Coptic canonists. Probably the most famous Coptic canonist is known as Ibn Asal. And in his preface to the Constitutions of the Alexandrian Church, He mentions, of course, the 20 canons of Nicaea. Those are the authentic canons that everybody recognizes. But then, quote, another collection of great usefulness, a version of which was procured by the Melkites and Nestorians and is accepted by the Syrian Jacobites, and the number of canons in the Melkite editions is 84.
Whoa.
That's what we call today the Arabic canons of Nicaea, a recension. That's most likely a recension from the 73 Syriac canons.
Okay.
It's now 84, but they include the two about papal authority.
So the papal authority, that would include, so that would be a longer recension, yet that longer recension would contain Canon 2 and Canon 9 or 8 in some manuscripts, and they would be retained there.
That's correct. And in the recensions, in the Arabic recension, they're Canon 37 and Canon 44.
Wow, so they've been retained.
Right, but the number is different, but they're the same as Canons 2 and 8 or 2 and 9.
Sure, right.
Same canon about papal authority. Same canons in Ibn Asal, a Coptic canonist. Both canons about papal authority appear in his Nomocanon. There used to be, I don't know if there still is, but there used to be a translation of this work, this Nomocanon of Ibn Asal, on the internet, done by a member of the Coptic Church, Dr. William Hanna. I used his translation in the book, my book. I quoted his translation of both of these papal canons.
And let me just emphasize that for significance for the audience. That is enormous because Ibn Asal was a Coptic Orthodox canonist. He was not a Latin theologian that was trying to write to defend the papacy. Now, there is this enormous issue now because while the Coptic Orthodox Church they don't accept this today, papal supremacy, clearly in this Nomocanon, you have transmitted these canons that are part of the canonical tradition he inherited that clearly does teach papal supremacy, meaning that the ancient textual tradition of the Coptic Orthodox Church of Oriental Orthodoxy shows they believed at one point in papal supremacy in these canons, and today they deny that. That is pretty big.
The canons are literally on the books, or in the books.
In the books. Wow.
I could read you. I mean, I'm going to go hoarse and lose my voice if I keep reading over and over again the same canons as translated, this time as translated by Dr. Hanna.
Right.
I'm going to start losing my voice. But for now, take my word for it. I don't know if the site is still up, but yes, he translated Ibn Asal. Actually, you don't even have to take my word for it, because there's an Ethiopian recension of Ibn Asal. So there's an Ethiopian version of the Ibn Asal Nomocanon. For the Ethiopian church, it's known as Feta Nagast. Feta Nagast.
Okay.
It was translated in 1973 by a Catholic priest, and I'm going to get the name. Let's see here. Okay, Feta Nagast, the Law of the Kings, translated by Abba Paulo Sadua, copyright 1968, Haile Selassie University,
Wow.
Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, pages 17 to 19. And once again, what do we find on pages 17 to 19 of the Feta Nagast? I'll give you one guess, brother.
What is that?
You find the two canons about papal authority.
I was to say, you're going to find Canon 2 and Canon 9 or Canon 8 reproduced exactly the same. They're
the same canons, except, again, in these later recensions, they're known as 37 and 44.
Sure. Right,
but they're
right.
the same.
Yeah.
The text is the same.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no difference whether it's 37 or 44. You've got the very same thing being, laid out there. So Canon 37 would be equivalent to Syriac Canon 2, which says the head and the one to lead is the one on the chair of Peter in Rome. And then Canon 44, let me just put that up. Canon 44 would be equivalent to Canon 8 or 9, which says it is, number one, it explains the hierarchy, the bishops, the metropolitans, patriarchs. Then it extends that to Rome, and it tells you that Rome has supremacy. That's tremendous. Wow.
Right. So, and even that is not all. They are also found in another major Coptic writer named Abu Barakat ibn Kabar. And his work is called Mizbah az-Zulma, 5th chapter. It's got the 2 canons. Abu Barakat ibn Kabar is a major Coptic writer. So, and these are not all. There are other texts. Wow. Okay, so if I'm going to find these were also shouldn't be a surprise by now, but you'll find some of these canons on Maronite manuscripts. That's not a surprise because the Maronites were Catholic, so it's not a big, it's not a man bites dog story if the Maronites would accept some of these canons. That's to be expected because the Maronite, everybody knows Maronites are Catholic.
Oh yeah.
But it is a man bites dog story when you find these canons among non-Catholic canonists.
Wow.
Okay, and we have texts that say they were also accepted by the Melkites. Now remember, the Melkites are basically the Orthodox patriarchates of Antioch and Alexandria in the Middle Ages.
Right.
Okay, so even though there was a Greek schism in place, in other words, the schism didn't happen right away, of course, but there was a schism that took place after 1054, and it involved the Melkites.
Sure.
So even though some of the Melkites did go into the Greek schism, still Melkites accepted these Arabic canons.
Wow.
And this is attested by a source known as the Chronicle of Surt. I'm going to try to find my reference to the Chronicle of Surt.
Yeah.
That's an East Syrian source.
Awesome. And while you look for that, I just want to answer the brother here. Speaking of East Syriac, the brother St. Francis Babytoe, we love him dearly. Thank you for your support. He asks, is the Chaldean Catholic Rite the same as the Syriacs? And as the brother John mentions, East Syriac. So the East Syriac would be the Chaldean Rite. It would be used by the Chaldean Catholic Church, and Brother John can correct me if I get any of this wrong, Syro-Malabar Church. And then when you speak of the West Syriac Rite, that would be used by the Syriac Catholic Church. And by the, what's the name of the other one? Syro-Malankara.
Oh boy.
Catholic Church, right?
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let me answer that.
Yes, please do
Okay,
that.
let me just say. Okay, so East Syrian is Chaldean.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Whether you say Nestorian, we're not supposed to say that, of course.
Yeah,
but
we're not supposed to.
I just did. But whether somebody calls it Nestorian, Chaldean, Assyrian, Church of the East, that's talking about the church which was centered at Seleucia.
Yes.
Now, if you're talking about West Syrian, or Jacobite, which we're probably not supposed to say anymore, or the Monophysite, which we're not supposed to say, Oriental Orthodox is considered better style now. That's all talking about the West Syrian at Antioch.
Yep.
Okay, that's a major distinction in church history. So yes, there's a major distinction. So if she say, is the Chaldean Catholic Rite the same as the Syriacs? East Syrian, yes.
Yeah, right. Not
It's
West.
synonymous with East Syrian. It's a word as the Church of the East, for that part of the Church of the East that returned to communion with Rome in the 1550s was known as Chaldean.
Yep.
Okay, now I'd like to get to this
Yes, please do so.
Chronicle of Surt.
Yeah.
This is a 13th century a 13th century Church of the East source
Yeah.
on the Nicene canons. Quote, those that the Melkites and Jacobites admit number 73 canons,
Wow.
which come from the copy of Maruthus, Bishop of Myperkat. This is mind-bending.
That's enormous.
All right. So here's what that's saying. Okay. I have to explain the implications of that.
Yes, do so.
Okay. We got 73 canons. All right. 2 of them affirm papal authority in terms of the purest ultramontanism.
Sure.
I'm plagiarizing Dostoevsky here.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Then we're saying the Melkites and Jacob. Oh, not supposed to say Jacobites, but they did. Those that the Melkites and I'm quoting now. Those that the Melkites and Jacobites admit number 73 canons. So that means that these later, which come from the copy of Maruthus, Bishop of Myperkat. So that means that the 73 come from Maruthus, and it implies very strongly that the later Arabic canons of Nicaea are a recension that come from the 73 canons. All right? So they come from the copy of Maruthus, Bishop of Myperkat. And the Melkites and Jacobites in the 1200s were, of course, out of communion with Rome. This is mind-bending.
This is very difficult to get around. This is pretty tremendous. This, yeah, I would say that a lot of this is, well, everything you presented so far is just devastating for those that go against papal supremacy, especially those, those in the Syriac churches, those of the Oriental Orthodox persuasion. This is pretty big.
Right. So, and there's a bit more too. I mean, I haven't listed every source that's going to give you the Arabic canons. In other words, I haven't given you every single Eastern Church source where these are accepted. Sure. I'm just going to give you, here's what I'm going to give you, okay? I mean, I have them all in my book, but let's put it this way. In the Library of Paris, so the Bibliothèque Nationale de Paris, BNP, you have a collection of Arabic manuscripts, and you have a catalog of the Arabic manuscripts. So you have a book by somebody named Gerard Troupeau from 1972, the catalog of the Arabic Christian manuscripts, meaning of the BNP, of the Paris Library, right. Famous Library of Paris. And you have multiple manuscripts, Arabic manuscripts that are either Melkite or Coptic that have the what we call the Arabic canons. So that's the recension derived from the Syriac, we believe, where what they'll say is, here's what they say. The manuscript is going to list the councils, canons of the councils, and it's going to say Nicaea, 20 canons. And then it says 84 canons. So they're going to have both the authentic 20 canons that everybody admits and the 84 canons. And the 84 canons include the 2 Syriac canons about the papal authority. Paris Arabic manuscripts, 238 from the 14th to 16th century, 239 from the 15th century, 240 from the 14th century, are Coptic Coptic canonical collections. They all have the 20 authentic canons of Nicaea plus 84 Arabic canons.
Wow.
Paris Arabic manuscript 241 has 83 Arabic canons. So they're off, the numbers off by one, but it amounts to the same thing.
It amounts to pretty much the same thing. That's tremendous.
Even Ethiopic manuscripts. Okay. In the British Museum Catalog of Ethiopic Manuscripts, 360, 361, 362 have 83 canons of Nicaea, quote unquote. And I could go on. I could go on. Melkite canonical collections. Paris Arabic manuscript 234 from the 1200s, 13th century. 235 from the 14th century. 236 from the 14th century. 242 from the 16th century. List 20 authentic canons of Nicaea plus 84 Arabic canons.
Wow.
But hey, the Council of Florence was never received in Antioch.
Wow.
They have the 84 canons about papal authority, including the two about papal authority. Well, to be fair, though, you'd have to verify on each manuscript if the two are really there. But they have the 84, they list 84 Arabic canons, which the original 84 included the two about papal authority.
Wow.
And that is an unquestionable fact. Those are the facts. Very simple. Those are not in dispute. So that's the Gerard Troupeau catalog of the Arabic Christian manuscripts of the Library of Paris from 1972. And wow. the list of manuscripts runs from pages 200 to 233. If anybody wants to do the research and check me out and see if
you're willing to be fact checked. I love that. You're willing. Hey, you're saying, hey, you don't believe me, you can fact check me. You're willing to be fact checked, isn't that right?
Oh, please fact check me. It would be my pleasure.
Yeah.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
Right.
It would be my pleasure. Be my pleasure.
Yeah. No,
okay.
There's no doubt about that. Go ahead.
Okay. So there is no question. The facts, the texts are there. Those things are facts in the sense that they're there. Yeah. Now, how one explains them that's up to whoever wants to, apologists and so forth want to give their explanation for that. But the evidence is the evidence.
Yeah.
Just like when you have a trial in a court of law, you have two sets of lawyers may have very different interpretation of the evidence, but you have the evidence.
Yeah.
And these texts are evidence. They're objectively evidence. How you handle the evidence, that's your problem. For those who can't handle what the evidence says, I can understand it. It's very tough this is very tough to deal with.
Well, I'd say there's a clear solution, and that solution would be to become Catholic.
Right.
Or some people just don't want to do that. That's a whole other thing there, isn't that right, though?
Yeah. So, and then the final, just the icing on the cake or the cherry on top for this presentation is just when did this become known to the West?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time the contents definitely became known would be around the 1550s.
Whoa.
As far as we know. So a priest by the name Father John Baptista Romanus, who was a Jesuit, met with a Coptic patriarch. And the Coptic patriarch gave him a copy of a book of canons. And the priest took it, and when they examined it and studied it, they found that there were these 84 canons known as the Arabic, which we now call Arabic canons of Nicaea. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that we know of. Now, there could have been others earlier, but this is the first time that we know of where the canons became known to the West. Okay? In a way that's documented.
Yeah.
And definite. So, there were rumors that the East had this big collection of, Nicaea that's as big as the four Gospels. but in terms of definitely knowing the contents, learning the actual contents, this is the first time that it's documented that the Westerners learned about these canons in detail.
Wow.
The specifics. So they had it translated. They had different translators translate the canons. And then in the 17th century, a Maronite Catholic by the name Ibrahim of Heckel, again, we got to Latinize the name, of course, so the scholars call him Abraham Eschelensis. So this scholar by the name Abraham Eschelensis, Ibrahim of Heckel, wrote a dissertation on the canons and published a translation in Latin. So now it was available around 1640, something like that, right, roughly speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that made the canons widely available to scholars, Latin being, the scholarly language, of course. So there's an expanded version of this dissertation that is in the council collections known as Mansi.
Mm-hmm.
Giovanni Domenico Mansi, the actual name is Sacrorum Conciliorum Nova et Amplissima Collectio. And it's in volume 2. It's around column 1080 or so, somewhere in there, way in the back of the book. Volume 2 of Mansi. All right. That's the first time where the canons became widely known in the West, between the 1550s and the 1650s, and then through Mansi. Not before that time.
Wow.
And then there were later, then of course you had a debate about whether these were real canons of Nicaea. And ironically, it was a Catholic bishop by the name Karl Joseph Hefele.
Ah, Hefele, yep.
Famous Catholic bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Very impartially, so impartial that I sometimes joke about what side was he really on. But this Karl Joseph Hefele, in his History of the Councils, showed that the Arabic canons of Nicaea are not from Nicaea. They're pseudo-Nicene because all of the ancient sources talk about 20 canons of Nicaea.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to concede that to Bishop Hefele and give him his due. All right. He was so impartial that he actually rebutted, far from being a papal forgery, the canons were rebutted as pseudo-Nicene by a Catholic bishop.
Wow.
By the name Karl Joseph Hefele.
Yeah.
Who showed that why they are not considered authentic. But there's a dissertation in his History of the Councils for anyone who wants to read it. That's James White used it years ago to try to play down the importance of the Arabic canons. However, it doesn't change any fact that I've given you, because what I said has nothing to do with whether the canons are of Nicaea.
Sure, there's no doubt about that. That's not the point you're trying to make. James White clearly wouldn't have gotten the point. James White's grasp of early church history is very poor, but I think your point remains very powerful, that these clearly could not have been fabricated by the West, since they remained largely unknown in the Latin tradition till later. They cannot be plausibly, now not logically in any way, they cannot be plausibly dismissed as Latin forgeries. That maybe people will say, well, they're late Latin forgeries that were designed to bolster the papal claims in the West. That doesn't fit. It doesn't work at all that way.
Yeah, you're not going to have a Latin forgery about the 4 patriarchs.
Right, yeah.
Using this East Syrian language about the 4 patriarchs found on a Syriac manuscript.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anything, it demonstrates powerfully that Roman primacy, Roman supremacy was recognized well beyond merely only the Latin-speaking church.
Right. So it's not like we could make up a forged Syriac manuscript with these cannons and then swoop down in a helicopter and leave them by the banks of the Tigris or Euphrates River to be discovered by Chaldean shepherd boys like in 1948 with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right.
Not a happening proposition.
No way. Doesn't make any sense at all.
So these are from the Eastern Church and accepted among Eastern canonists and among multiple churches of completely differing beliefs.
Yeah.
The East Syrians, the so-called Oriental Orthodox, Catholics like the Maronites, as well as Melkites.
Yeah.
Okay, so the documentation is all there. I mean, there's actually more, but I think I've given about as much as the audience is going to be handled in one session.
And that was tremendous. I don't know if you mind tackling a few questions before you go. You got at least 15,
Sure,
20 minutes?
that would be fine, sure.
Love it. So let me look in the audience to see what people say. John, how you doing, John? God bless you. John, hope you loved it. John is looking into returning to the faith of his childhood, into Catholicism. Hopefully, John, this was helpful for you. He says, good morning, brothers and sisters. God bless you all. John, hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to talk to you again. And the brother, St. Francis Baby Toe, we're definitely going to be praying for you, my friend. He says, pray for us. I took an official test for autism, and I have it. Pray for that's his son, Hurricane Jojo, who gets tested next month. We'll be praying for you. Some of the best geniuses in the world have autism, and you are incredibly intelligent, brother St. Francis. We'll be praying for you. And here's a great question that I can tackle it, or the brother John can tackle it. He's asking, hold on, guys, where do cardinals fit in the hierarchy? Where do they fit in the hierarchy? So how would you answer that, Brother John?
Okay, so a cardinal is not a divinely established rank in the hierarchy.
There you go.
It's a church origin. A cardinal, the original electors of the Pope were the priests of Rome, the Roman clergy. Mm-hmm. After the year 1000, this right was transferred to a college of cardinals, but then by a kind of legal fiction, each cardinal has a titular church in Rome, so they are like legal successors of the Roman clergy. All right? So they're in a sense the Roman clergy, but in fact, like a typical parish priest can no longer elect the Bishop of Rome. You have to be a cardinal.
Correct.
But to keep that connection with the Roman clergy, they give the cardinal a titular church in Rome. Yeah. So it's the cardinal is a not divinely ordained rank. It's a rank established by the church.
Yeah. Great point. Tremendous answer as well. And the brother TJ, we agree with you, TJ. Thank you for the support. He says, submit to Rome. Yes, man. Who is you all's favorite pope? I'll answer first. Then the brother John can answer. I'm very curious what he's going to say. My all-time favorite, of course, because of the work that I do I don't just do Mariology, I do a lot of Christology. My all-time favorite is going to be Pope St. Leo the Great. He is my all-time favorite in particular because of the tome of Pope St. Leo and his Christological writings are, in my opinion, second to none. Yes, I believe that he perfected Augustinian Christology. That's what he had in mind. He is my all-time favorite pope. Brother John, who would you say?
Didn't today used to be a commemoration of the Holy Popes? July 3rd. Yeah.
Really?
Or do I have that wrong? I think there used to be a commemoration of the popes on July 3rd. But anyway,
I don't know.
To answer the question, one of my favorites would be Pope St. Celestine I.
Ah, there you go.
The Pope who was involved in condemning Nestorius and saying that Nestorius had 10 days to retract his errors.
Yeah.
Or to be cut off entirely. And of course, he was acclaimed as a defender of the faith in the Council of Ephesus.
Well, I thought it was St. Cyril that did that without any authority from the Pope, though. It's a joke.
Right.
It's a joke.
Right.
Everybody knows that. Yeah, popes. So you're gonna. That is amazing. Never heard anyone say that before. But I give you the tip of the hat. Pope Saint Celestine was tremendous. So you would put him above Pope Saint Leo, really?
I wouldn't put him above. The question was just who's your favorite?
Okay, yeah. No, I mean in terms of who your favorite is. You'd say him.
Well, that's just off the top of my head. I could have said Leo. There's a lot of ancient popes I could have said.
What about Gregory? You like Gregory?
Sure. I love all of those kinds of popes. I love those who were involved with the sacramentaries as well. Some of the popes, like Gregory, has a sacramentary named after him. So does Pope Gelasius.
What are your thoughts? Do you? It's just an offhand comment, John. Nothing behind it. But TJ says, don't let Ari hear that. Do you think, by any chance, do you think Nestorius was wrongly condemned, or do you think he was rightly condemned? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's no reason to think he was wrongly condemned. Nestorius, Nestorius denied that Mary should be called the Mother of God. Yeah, he was given every chance to appear in a lawful ecumenical council. He did not appear. Yep. He did not appear at the council. He could have defended himself. He didn't do it. He should have appeared. If you get a threefold summons, or however, if you're like Dioscorus, for example, you get a threefold summons to appear at an ecumenical council, you go and you defend yourself if you can.
What's he going to defend? It's heresy. It's heresy.
Right. If you can. So he could have defended himself. He didn't. He continued to the end of his life to complain about what Cyril did. Mm-hmm. He wrote a book which was translated into, had to be hidden under a strange title called The Bazaar of Heraclides, where he tried to snipe at Cyril after the events, long after the events, and then tried to take credit for what was happening at Chalcedon. Right. Yeah. Okay. So for all of those reasons, there is nothing to say that I see that says that he was unjustly condemned. Yeah. Why would he was told from the very beginning, he was told by Cyril and the Pope that he needed to retract. Yep. Everybody else involved, every major figure involved, like John of Antioch, who was a friend of Cyril. Sure. John of Antioch, who was partly on the wrong side, but said, you know what, maybe you should accept this title of Mother of God. And eventually John of Antioch, who almost went into schism, at the last moment signed a formula of union to prevent the schism from happening. And at that point, there is no excuse for anybody to be rejecting the Council of Ephesus. Once the controversy died down and the council was clearly received, all right, by John of Antioch, it's really, there's no legitimate reason for dissenting from it. There's not even a pretext for dissenting from it. So that was the time, to submit. Better late than never.
Yeah. The one thing that I appreciate you're doing here is speaking the truth, since Nestorius was given ample time to reconcile his views with that of the Apostolic Church. He didn't do so. And the one thing that I have not liked is the modern day attempt to rehabilitate some of these figures like Nestorius. And look, one particular scholar, I'm not on board with him, who has attempted to do that, and he's a friend of mine, but he knows I don't agree with him, would be Father Price. Now, I think that Nestorius was rightly condemned. If you read what he wrote, and not only what he says about Mother Mary, and not only what he says about opposing her as the God-bearer at Theotokos, but his Eucharistic theology is a mess as well. If anybody studies that, it's a total mess. So it's a mess all the way around. Early on, and I know I'm not even going to get into this, but if you don't have much nice to say about Nestorius, I imagine you don't have a whole lot of good things to say about Theodore either.
About which Theodore?
Mopsuestia.
Oh, Theodore of Mopsuestia. Again, he was condemned.
Yep.
Right, Theodore was condemned. And by the way, speaking of Father Price.
Yeah. Speaking of him. Uh-oh.
Speaking of Father Price.
Uh-oh.
Look, Father Price is extremely learned.
Sure.
I do not challenge his erudition, far from it.
But he's a
Okay.
historian, not a theologian.
Right. But
Yeah.
if this were in, if we were in Greek class, let's say, and Father Price said, well, Mr. Kalarafi, if you're so smart, how would you like to conjugate a contract verb for us? Please show us your expertise. I'd be in some trouble. Okay.
Right.
So I don't want to challenge his erudition, particularly in Greek.
Sure.
However, I'm familiar with his work. So let's put it this way.
We all
Okay.
should be. Yeah.
In his translation of the Seventh Council, of the Seventh Ecumenical Council,
I see it too. Mhm.
okay, the Pope uses a word for his authority 5 times, which in Latin is principatus. Okay, 5 times the Pope used that word in Latin. 5 times. That word is a word that the Roman emperors used for their sovereignty.
Correct.
Sovereignty. So the word means plainly supremacy or sovereignty, principatus.
Sure. No doubt. Mhm.
Now, Father Price had 5 chances to translate that word in his rendering of the Seventh Ecumenical Council.
Yep.
3 times, by my recollection, I looked at his book carefully.
Yep.
3 times he translated principatus as primacy, by my recollection. 1 time, primatial authority.
Mm.
Okay? Only once did he translate it as anything like sovereignty. 3 times, primacy. The word is principatus. Okay? A word clearly meaning sovereignty or supremacy.
Sure.
3
Sure.
times he translated that as primacy.
Yeah.
So, with all due respect to Father Price, and I respect his erudition, okay, there is no way I'm going to let any of these men put on their pants one leg at a time, and they put on one sock and one shoe at a time, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Okay, do not be overawed by their erudition, even though they are very learned. I mean, certainly, I'm not going to argue about him in Greek, not in Greek class. Okay,
Right.
but it doesn't mean you can't challenge him when that time. You can challenge him when you have the sources are on your side.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would put up the theological acumen and the Greek knowledge of Father Kappas over a Father Price any day. Love Father Price, but Father Kappas and his Greek is second to none. And he doesn't agree with Father Price. So
Right.
He's a titan of a Greek scholar.
Right.
A titan. So here we got another question. It was from Jesus Talks Ari. She says, hey, John, man, I saw you debated Ubi Petrus in the past. How does it feel to know that you completely annihilated him? God bless you and thank you for being here with us. I have not heard that debate yet. I got to hear that. Is that online?
Oh, it's online. Yeah.
Okay.
It has a lot of views. Yeah. It was by the way, nice leading question there. How does it feel to know that you completely annihilated?
I love that, man.
Usually a leading question is like a negative and like, hey, when did you stop beating your wife? Or
we love that, man. Ari loves your stuff. I got to check that debate out.
Please, be my pleasure for anybody who, I mean, everybody is right. And I'm glad that he was courageous enough to post the debate. It was meant to be an informal discussion. It's 5 years ago now.
Wow.
It's almost exactly 5 years ago. But it had like the older version had like 8,700 views, and then the new version had another 8,000, or it has close to 20,000 views. And it's going to say like 8,000, but he had an earlier version that he replaced that had about 8,700 views. So it had a lot of views.
Why did he replace it?
He had like the first half of the debate at that time.
Oh,
I think
I got you. Yeah.
the whole thing about putting the rest behind a paywall, I think. And I don't mean to put him down or anything.
Sure.
But I'm just saying that this is the way it happened. So
I got
then he put up another version, which I think is the full version. And by the way, Jay Dyer sat in and critiqued the debate.
Didn't know that.
So
Okay.
that was I consider it an honor.
Right,
You know?
right, yeah. I mean, I'd say Ubi in terms of papacy. Ubi knows way more than Jay, in the papacy.
Oh, certainly he does. I mean, certainly in terms of languages, things like that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
But anyway, but Jesus talks. Ari, I appreciate your kind words. Very kind leading question there. But yeah, anybody's free to watch that, and they can form their own opinions. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean to influence anybody about how they. It was an informal discussion, really, which was
Sure.
they're calling it. It was an informal type of debate.
That's
It
still a
wasn't
debate.
like
That's
yeah.
still a debate. There's still a debate. Lita Molina wants to know, hold on, John. What do you think of the mindset of our apostolic brothers and sisters to constantly resist the papacy despite the mountain of evidence?
Okay, well, there's another leading question actually, because it is a
They're
question.
not wrong, though. They're not wrong.
It is a question with a conclusion as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do they resist? Why do they resist despite the mountain of evidence? Well, look, Lena. Okay, so do they really know about the mountain of evidence? Do they know the mountain of evidence? So tonight, I put up a mountain of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
This is a mountain of evidence. I don't know if everybody knows of that mountain of evidence. Maybe somebody will convert. All right. But if they don't, then we have the explanation given for the gospel, which is the same explanation as that, to accept the truth of the Catholic faith involves certain actions.
Yeah.
And those actions may be inconvenient. All right. So if you accept the truth about the papacy and you decide you have to become Catholic, that involves certain actions and it may make your life harder.
Right.
Now, the thing that I would urge everybody to remember here is that it's hard to convert. To convert truly convert can be hard. So we believe in something called efficacious grace, which means God gives you a grace that's so powerful that wild horses aren't going to stop you from converting.
I think I got that when I became Catholic.
Right. So rather than passing a judgment on our brothers, I would urge people to pray that they receive efficacious grace.
Yeah.
That God gives them the grace and moves them in such a way that they will definitely cooperate with that grace. Now, another thing I would point out here, tomorrow's the first Saturday of the month.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Our Lady of Fatima, for good reason, asked for the first Saturdays.
Amen.
All right? And this is hard to do it the right way.
It is, yeah.
But remember that our brothers sometimes, we think of, like, if somebody denies the perpetual virginity, we call it an error, but really Christ called it a blasphemy.
Yeah.
In the message of Fatima, that's considered the blasphemy. To deny the Immaculate Conception or the perpetual virginity or the divine maternity. These are not just errors, but blasphemies that require reparation. So if you want everybody to become Catholic, then be busy, make a big deal out of the first Saturdays. So the first Saturdays involve all actions are in reparation for blasphemies against the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So confession, communion, 5 decades of the Rosary, and then an additional 15 minutes of meditation.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't slur them together. Make sure you do all of those actions. And then if you do all of those, Sister Lucia used to do them every month, not just 5 times, not just 5 months, but every month, because she understood that this reparation needed to happen. So if we have a love for souls, we have a love for our brothers, we want them to be saved, that's one of the things we'll be doing for them, is to help them to convert by doing this reparation. Right? So I strongly encourage that. So that's tomorrow.
That's a wonderful point there. And I think to really kind of add to that, everybody's got to begin, I'd love to see people pray the rosary more and more. One thing that I like saying is, Brother John, I've never ran into anybody that prays the rosary in a devout manner, that says, man, I regret that. Never ran into anyone that ever says that. We've got to make the rosary more and more part of our daily life, I would say. But the first Saturday devotion is tremendous. I think it's kind of gotten forgotten in the modern era, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and it needs to be universalized. So if you want things to go well in the church, and if you want, apologetics to go well, you want people to convert, you want schisms to be healed, then be active in doing and promoting the first Saturdays.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And earlier, the one above asked, he said, well, hold on, and I'll answer this unless you want to tackle it as well, Brother John. The one above is a Catholic. Not sure if the one above is Catholic. The brother is a new Catholic or just learning, because they had asked about the title Theotokos earlier. But they asked, well, Florence declared no salvation outside the church. Has this been reversed? And I would very clearly say, I don't think it has been reversed. The church will always be necessary for salvation. That is never going to change ever. And I think that should definitely be preached more and more. People need to understand this. By the way, the one above, God bless you for your support. Thank you so much. This should never be forgotten. The church is always going to be necessary for salvation. And here's another point people don't speak of enough, and I'll mention it very briefly. Deliberate separation from the church. It's tough to hear, will exclude salvation. That's deliberate separation from the church. And I'm sure you agree with that as well, Brother John, don't you?
Right. I agree with you. So the church, okay, so the Pope has addressed this in the past. Multiple popes have addressed this question. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody retracted Florence.
No.
Or at least, I'm going to be cautious here and speak before Vatican II. So before Vatican II, no pope would have said, Florence, bye-bye. They would have affirmed Florence, but they also would have said, as some did, like, say Pius XII, for example.
Sure.
So, now there's like a pope who probably got like a 97 or 100 on a theology test, time after time. Very intellectual pope. So he would have said that it's equally certain that God doesn't condemn somebody for what's known as invincible ignorance. In other words, they were ignorant of something, they couldn't overcome it. God doesn't condemn someone for that reason, right? God doesn't condemn someone purely for an error of judgment. But at the same time, the church is not optional.
Right.
The church is something you can't just choose or reject the church and there be no consequences. Yeah. God gives you light, right? God gives you light to know the truth, and you have to follow the light that he gives you. And if you continue to follow the lights that God gives you, he will lead you to the church.
Yeah.
All right. Now, except for possibly these cases of invincible ignorance. So I am prepared to affirm both of those principles. I will say, I don't know what Super Chat hasn't been addressed, but...
Oh, no, we're answering it right now, brother. He might have sent that before we began talking about it.
Okay, fine. So it's on the one hand certain that God doesn't condemn someone for invincible ignorance, but at the same time, if you know that the Catholic Church is the true church and you do not enter it, you can't be saved. And that's even stated in Vatican II itself in Lumen Gentium.
Vatican II does say that. That's correct. Vatican II. And Benedict, in a written work of his, has said that as well. You're correct about that. Yeah. And so we got to be careful. The one thing that I think is important is let us not always have that fallback of, hey, well, invincible ignorance. We have to talk about that and lay that out and to be very clear. Look, the only way anybody is going to be saved at the end of the day is you gotta be united to Christ. You got to be united to his church. And of course, invincible ignorance, that's something that the brother John just mentioned there. But yeah, this is a good point there. Florence has never been retracted. And it definitely never will be. And Lino Molina, he didn't send this, but he didn't send it in a super chat, but I just saw it, and I want to lay that forth. Yes, pray the rosary, pray the Seven Sorrows rosary. Brother John, we're going to wrap it up already, but I've got to ask you this before we wrap it up. I got to ask you, what is your favorite rosary?
You know what? Okay, so
I got to ask you that.
I like to pray the regular, I like the regular rosary, Okay, I like the old-fashioned 150 Hail Mary rosary. In other words, the 15-decade rosary, Mary Psalter. Okay, I like that. I like the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. And also, now he talks about the 7 sorrows. I know there's a 7 sorrows rosary. Let me, on a related note, this is important, okay?
Yes.
What I like to do in the writings of St. Bridget say that those who promote devotion to the 7 sorrows, can go directly, happily into eternity, which seems to imply being able to avoid purgatory. I don't want to promise that. We don't want to be superstitious, but I'm saying it's a pious belief. So what I do is pray, and I pray a Hail Mary in honor of each of the 7 sorrows and meditate on the 7 sorrows, as well as promote the devotion to Our Lady of Sorrows, the 7 sorrows. And so I hope to obtain that promise of being able to go into eternity and bypass purgatory if possible. Okay, so I want to recommend that particular devotion. Don't be superstitious. Don't say it's like a sure thing or anything. It's a private revelation. We know that. But it's a pious belief. All right. In other words, you'll see this printed with church approval. So it's not like dogma or like a guarantee, but you will generally see this printed with an imprimatur. Right. As something that the church thinks is credible. It's a devotion we should, that's recommended. So I want to recommend that particular devotion.
And most definitely, St. Francis Babytoe says that I should do a morning show on Pope Leo the 13th. 1,000% tremendous Pope. Will definitely do that, my friend. I will definitely do that for you, brother. One final question for you, John. I imagine your favorite saint of all is Holy Mother Mary, right?
I'm a follower of Saint Louis de Montfort. So
wonderful. So then I've got to ask you, controversial question to close the doors.
Sure.
Who's your second favorite saint of all?
That's a tough one because
I know. I got to put you on the hot seat. Who's your second favorite of all? Because I know that something Ari would have asked you. Ari, I don't think she's here anymore, but probably something she would have asked you. Who's your second favorite one? Putting you in the hot seat, man.
Okay, so I better say St. John the Evangelist because he's my patron saint. I'm going to get in trouble with him. I don't want to get in trouble with him. Okay. But really, though, my complete guide is St. Louis de Montfort, True Devotion to Mary, Secret of the Rosary. Okay. I mean, he's my complete guide in the spiritual life, which I recommend his works.
I thought you were going to say St. Joseph, but okay. I love St. Joseph as well, though.
He would be the highest after Holy Mary, as far as I'm concerned.
So you love St. Joseph then?
He's the highest after. I should have a greater devotion to St. Joseph because he's the highest after Holy Mary. So
do you believe he's higher than do you believe he's higher than St. John the Baptist?
I do so because he's the spouse of Mary in the Holy Family. Okay. So he's a saint of a higher order, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
If you were to, put me on the hot seat here, which apparently I am. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he's the highest after Holy Mary.
Okay. All righty. I like that, man. All righty. My friend, brother, this has been tremendous. We've got to do more. I want to thank you for your time, brother. I want to thank you a ton. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your expertise, and say, hey, you're always welcome to my show, and let's do it again sometime soon, my friend.
Okay. So for the audience, please, as I say, consider doing the first Saturdays as I explained them. Don't skimp. If you want to convert people, make reparation for the blasphemy. So if you can, do this the first Saturdays, make it a big deal. Go out, do that spiritual heavy lifting. Meditate 15 minutes on the mysteries, say the rosary, confession, communion. Sister Lucia used to do that every month. I would say if you know the old missal, I recommend the old Good Friday prayer for the conversion of heretics and schismatics. I recommend that. If you don't know the old missal, you have the Divine Mercy Novena. You have on the 5th day for the conversion of heretics and schismatics, or they call it now the separated brethren. But again, it's a prayer for the conversion of the separated brothers. Yeah. So you pray for the separated brothers. Whether we call them heretics, schismatics, separated brothers, it amounts to the same. So I recommend any kind of prayers like that. Help them. Help people to be saved. Give them the help of prayer. Don't call them names.
Yeah, don't call them names. I agree.
You're there to help them. Okay? You're looking at them, you're walking down the street, you see somebody prostrate, lying on the ground because he's been beat up or a victim of a crime. You don't call him a name. You help him up. Lift them up. Lift up your neighbor. If he's been beaten down into schism because even if he's been deceived by the devil, treat him like the Good Samaritan treated the man who fell down and was beaten up or abused by robbers. Treat him in that way, like the Good Samaritan. Okay? So I recommend all of that, as well as the devotion to the 7 Hail Marys each day in honor of the sorrows of Our Lady. All of that I recommend to you. And I thank you for having me on. So I don't even know how to log off of this particular program. So you got to do it for me.
I'll do it for you. I'm going to hit end stream. And then right after I hit end stream, backstage, I'll tell you how. I'll do it for you. Don't worry. Brother, we'll definitely do it again very soon. And for the one above, my dear brother, when I go live next time, we're going to tackle that. We'll talk more, my friend. The one above, we will continue our dialogues. Everybody, God bless you all immensely. See you all again very soon. Again, John, brother, God bless you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bro. You too.